Aloha and welcome to the beautiful island of Hawaii. I'm Professor Toy Box and I'm here with Stitch, who's going to be racing today in the Hawaiian Grand Prix. I designed and built this toy box to give you some ideas about how to take your toy box races to the next level. There are a lot of different features on this course, as you'll see in a moment, and all of these features are designed to get you thinking about different ways to use the racing toys in your own toy boxes. My inspiration for this series was the Toy Box Speedway expansion game. There were only 9 courses in that game, and I wanted more. In addition, I kept wondering how the Disney Infinity developers did some of the things they did, such as driving off cliffs, jumping over gaps, driving off-road on hidden paths that the AI cars didn't take, and racing on sections of track that weren't directly connected to the rest of the track. So I spent some time studying those courses and experimenting with the different racing toys, and I was able to figure out how the developers did many of the things they did. So in this series, which will air on Fridays, I'm going to teach you some of the tricks and techniques that I learned, and we're going to use those tricks and techniques to build some deluxe racetracks that should rival any of the courses in Toy Box Speedway. Another thing I liked about Toy Box Speedway was that each track featured a track story, meaning that the course evolves with each subsequent lap. There are some things that change each time you pass them on the track, and so I've incorporated that idea into my course as well. The first thing I'll do today is race my course, so you can get a good look at it, and then I'll show you how to start building it. And before we're done today, I'll share with you one of the fundamental tricks that I learned that opens the door for you to do a lot of cool things on your own racetracks. So let's get started. And we begin here on the beach, and if you look around, one of the first things you'll notice is that Finn McMissile is here. Of course, he's the British spy car from the Cars 2 film.
Why, hello there.
So the fact that he's here tells me there's something going on. Maybe someone wants to sabotage the race, or maybe he's here on a mission that has nothing to do with the race at all. But either way, I think we can expect some trouble on this course. So we'll come on up to the boardwalk, and I've got Cruella de Vil's car here waiting for me. So we'll hop in and start the racing challenge. And here we go, the Hawaiian Grand Prix. And I'm purposely not going to rev it because I want to stay behind these guys. Whoa. Alright, coming up to the first feature on the course, the bridge. And it blows up. Everybody go left. We gotta miss the hole in the road.
Oh, I'm glad to see you. Howdy, Lycan.
Alright, and then we got a cliff we drop off of. And now we've got some mines rolling down the hill that we gotta avoid. Whoa. And we're coming up to the volcano, and there's 2 ways to go. You can go right around the rim, or we can take the shortcut across the lava bed, which is a little bit more dangerous. And then we come up to the ancient ruins, and you can go left or right here. There are different obstacles depending on which way you go. And if you look up here, just off to the right, there's a rocket engine right there. And if you jump through that hoop, that activates the rocket engine. And that can be useful if you've got somebody on your tail and you want to try to get ahead of them a little bit. You can cheat and set off that rocket engine. And here we have the ruins of the bridge. So you have a constant reminder that there used to be a bridge there. I'm driving pretty good so far, knock on wood. Whoa! So that adds kind of an interesting, fun twist. trying to avoid those mines. There is a button at the top of the hill that you can shoot that'll turn them off. And now as we come up here, you'll notice there's something different happening on this track. There's some lava eruptions that you got to avoid, which makes that path even more dangerous. And now at the temple, let's go ahead and go left, and I'll show you the obstacles here. You got a spinner bar and some tar pits you got to jump over. Otherwise, they'll slow you down. And just for fun, let's see if we can set off that rocket engine. Can hear it going off. All right, final lap. I've got a pretty good lead so far. Hopefully I can hold it. Can't believe I'm doing so well. I probably just jinxed myself though, huh? Whoa, hit the oil again. And now they're catching up to me. Whoa! Whoa! Alright, this time let's go right around the rim. And you can see what's over this way. So the reward for coming this way are some vehicle weapon launchers. So that can be really useful. You only lose a second or so by going that way, but you could actually end up losing more by crossing the shortcut along the lava bed. Whoa! Coming up to the final stretch. Here we go. Wahoo! I won! Wow! Nice. And there we go. So that's my Hawaiian Grand Prix toy box. Now let's build the first part of it. Okay, so we're going to start with an empty toy box. And all I've done so far is place down a boom box and a sky changer. And I've set the sky changer to use Lilo's Tropical Sky, which is underneath the Disney Infinity 2.0. And if you don't have this sky and it's not available in your toy store, you probably need Stitch's Tropical Rescue from 2.0, that game piece, in order to unlock it. And I turned the music off with the boombox. So that's all I've done so far. And what I'm going to do for the orientation of the toy box is the beach needs to be over here because that's where the water is, and it's all island in the other directions. And so on this end of it, I'm going to take this long flat terrain block and we're going to drop it down here, and I'm going to drop it one block below that. And you don't need to worry too much about how this is lined up with that block because the big block is going to move before we're done. But this is going to be the beach, and it's got to sit down a little bit. And to style it, we'll use Lilo's Tropical Paradise. And I'll go ahead and set that to be my theme because I'm going to put down 2 of these blocks. And I'm not going to put down too much terrain today. I want to focus on the track. But this beach here is the starting point for the track. And so it's very important to get these 2 pieces down first. Alright, so there's our beach. And the boardwalk where the race starts is going to be right up against the grass up there. And so as we come up to the racetrack pieces, we're going to put the racetrack start piece right on the edge of the left beach block and right up against that terrain block just like that. And I'll go ahead and set the theme for this to use the Lilo's Tropical Paradise theme, and I'll set that to be my theme. So that's the starting point for our race. And then we're going to put down 2 of these very long racetrack pieces, which will take us to the edge of the beach over here. And so that's our beginning for the course. Now the next thing we'll do is put down a curve, because I kind of liked the idea, since we have this beautiful background out here, of just having the road curve out this way and taking a nice sort of leisurely drive along the beach. And at this point, since we're going to be up on the ground and off the beach, I'm going to change this road to be the Toy Box Roads style. I'll set that to be the theme. And then we'll flip this around. And then we'll come back and pick up the very long piece. And we're going to put down 3 of these. Followed by another curve. And then 1 more of the very long pieces. We'll drop that right over here. Alright, now, at this point, if you remember in the race, this is where the player drives up the hill, and when they reach the top of the hill, the bridge explodes, and every car swerves to the left to take the side path and avoid the deadly drop. And you may be wondering how I did that, because as I told you recently in Toy Box Tutorials, episode 66, one of the fundamental rules of using the racetrack start piece, which is what we put down first over there, one of the fundamental rules of using that piece is that you cannot break the track. You can't have any gaps in the track, or it won't give you the orange menu that allows you to start the racing challenge. And once the challenge starts, you can't remove any of the connected track pieces without crashing the game, and quite possibly your entire system. And yet, as you saw, I removed the bridge when I blew it up. How did I do that? Well, I was able to do that because I figured out a way to break the track without actually breaking the track. And here's the trick. So I'm going to place 1 more of these pieces over here like this. And actually I'm going to place 2. And you'll notice the track, it won't let me place anything over here because it's showing it in red that there's already something there. The collision box won't let me place it. But if you scroll to the right a little bit, you'll notice that's not the case with the ramps. And so I can come to the bowed track ramp, for example. And if I come over here to the edge of this piece, which should be right there, so right after the edge of that first very long piece, I can place this right on top of the track, like that. And that's because you can place some toys on top of the track, and these ramps are one of them. Now you'll notice the ramp is not connected to the main track, it's just sitting on top of it. The AI cars, though, will obey the driving physics and drive up the ramp, but they're actually following the bottom track. Because that's the track that's connected to the racetrack start piece. But because this track isn't connected to it, it can be safely removed without crashing the game. And I'm going to use a replayer to do that for the bridge. And so what we can do is we're going to build up a ramp coming up off of the main track, and all of the cars will follow that ramp. And then we get up to the top, and we'll put down another very long racetrack. And what you can see, we have 2 tracks that are parallel. The game AI is following the bottom track, but because there's mass or substance to these, it's actually driving on the top track. So it's a really neat trick here. Now, One thing you need to be aware of when using this technique is that once the AI cars leave the main track and they're driving above it, the game is going to be looking for opportunities to bring the cars back down to the main track. It tolerates them driving on surfaces above the track, but it prefers to keep them on the track. And so you may see some strange bugs and behavior with this, where cars will get stuck or glitch if there's a gap that they're jumping over or something like that. But most of the time it seems to work. But I wanted you to be aware that there are some limitations with this technique. Okay, so as we continue building this here, what I want to have happen up on the top track that's visible is I want to have the bridge with a path off to the left. And when the bridge explodes, I want the cars to follow that path to the left. And so what I'm going to do first is build what I want to see from the standpoint of the player. And then we'll make the track underneath fit that. So we're going to have 3 bridge sections over here. And then that's going to join back into the main road over here. And so this is what we've got. Now, to get the players, or to get the AI cars to avoid the bridge when it blows up and go left, what we'll do on the main track down below is use this racetrack left piece. And so you can kind of see that follows the curve of the split piece up above. And so the cars, the AI cars again, are following the bottom track. And so they're going to go to the left because that's where that track goes. The game AI is kind of oblivious to the fact that that bridge even exists because it's not connected to the main track. And then we'll go ahead and drop down some more of these. Excuse me, and I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, followed by a long piece. And that's what we've got there. Okay, and then the next size smaller, we're going to put this up on the main track up here, followed by a very long piece, which gets it, whoops, let me see here. Nope. I think I've got the wrong piece here. Hang on a second. Okay, so we may have to put another smaller piece down here because I need the 2 ends of this to line up with each other. And that's not going to do it, so we'll need a couple of small pieces in here, like that. That gets us lined up with the top of that. Yeah, okay, so there we go. So we're going to have a little valley that I'm building here. And so as we come up to the top of this, we're going to use a ramp that kind of goes off of the incline up here. And I want it to look like it's off-road. And so actually what we'll need to do, I'm going to go ahead and move this bridge. Eventually I'm going to put this bridge down with a replayer. But for right now we can move that to the side, because for some reason it doesn't like that. But in actuality, the 2 of them can sit there, and it's not a problem. But let's go ahead and style this now for an off-road style. And for that, I'm going to use Mickey's Fertile Farmland, and I'll set that to be the theme. Alright, and then we'll use another ramp. And then we'll use this bowed ramp to get us back down to the main floor. So like that. And now this track we'll go ahead and style to be that theme. And I'm going to go ahead and do this one as well. Because I want it to look like this isn't an actual road. They're kind of off of the road because the real road from the player's standpoint is up above. And one more section. Okay, so just to review really quick, we've brought them up off of the main track, up here onto this section, so we can have a bridge that looks like it explodes. And I wonder if it'll let me put this back over here now. Nope. I'm not going to worry about that because, again, I'm going to use a replayer. So they come up here, and then I'm bringing them back down to the main track. And then as we come over this way, we're going to bring them back up to our fake track up above. And so we'll come back to our ramp. Because I want to set up for the jump off of the cliff, and that's why we're bringing them back up there. Plus, it just makes sense that you have to do that, because that's where the road goes from the bridge, so it needs to look like we reconnect with that. Alright, so there is our bridge, and once again, I'll use a replayer to put these down a little bit later. Now, I'm starting to run a little short on time, but I would like to show you how you can use this exact same trick to do the jump off the cliff. And so we set that down, and I want to set the style back on this to be Toy Box Roads. I think that's left. Yeah, there we go. I'll set that to be my theme. And now we've got a section of road up here that we're going to build. And we have a little ways to go before we reach that cliff jump or drop. So we're going to build the same track above and below. Again, they're going to be driving on the top track but following the bottom track. And we'll put a very long track here like this, and then a large track or long track like that, and then some curves. So like that, like that. And I kind of like the design of this when you put it going through a canyon, because it looks like a twisty turning canyon, and I really like that. And then the bottom track is going to just continue going onward, but that top track is going to end rather abruptly. And for that, I'm going to use this medium racetrack, because I want the player to have an opportunity to straighten out a little bit after they come around that curve before they drive off the cliff. And so we'll end up putting a terrain block here to mimic the cliff face. But that's it. From the player's standpoint then, they're driving right off the top track onto the bottom track. But the game AI thinks they're just following this bottom track. And so it's really happy when you drive off of this track and get back down on the main track. The AI likes it to be there, so. Well, I think that's enough for today. Next Friday, we'll continue laying out the track for this course, and we'll build the hill for the rolling mines and the volcano. Until then, I'd love to hear what you think of my Hawaiian Grand Prix toy box and my new Toy Box Racing series so far, so leave a comment to let me know. Hopefully it gives you some fresh new ideas for ways to improve your own toy box races. If you want to see more of my Disney Infinity toy box creations, please visit my blog or my YouTube channel and click on my photo in the lower right corner to subscribe. That's all for me today. I'll see you next week.